Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Your gun doctor here. Today I have sad news for you. Two of my favorite guns got butchered, and that is the Gallo and the Bullfrog. Those are two of my main guns I've been playing a lot, especially the Bullfrog. Man, the Gallo I don't really care about because I have the Jack 12 as a backup, but the Bullfrog, they murdered it. Why are they doing this? It's still going to be good, I guess, but they definitely nerfed it, and the Gallo is kind of into the trash can. For the Gallo, it was definitely reasonable to do that because the Gallo used to have an insane range. Let's look at the patch. First, there have been some changes to iron trials. Most important, they added a specialist token, so you can now buy specials. It's going to be extremely expensive though. Supply run discounts are now 50% on every item except team reply 100%. Loadout drop marker 10% and specialist token 10%. And the hardline perk now gives 25% discount on every item except self-revive 20, loadout marker 10, and specialist token 20. This is kind of really cool because if you consider that, you might be able to buy a specialist token. Obviously, the specialist token is immensely expensive, but if you're playing extremely good and really well, and you start with hardline straight away, because why wouldn't you? Get the specialist token and get every single other perk. And that's kind of the thought behind that. So you can start with hardline. Everything is discounted, and you get the specialist and you get every single other perk. I mean, it's still going to be hard to pull off, but if you're playing well, if you're playing good, it should be easy. Then on top of that, they did actually nerf the contracts in Iron Trials, so you get less money per contract. That is intriguing change, especially considering that they put the specialist in. They made it even harder to get that. This will be polarizing for many because many already are sad that they can't get their loadouts that easy in Iron Trials, but I do believe this is a necessary change to make it even more challenging. In the end, Iron Trials is the rank mode, the hard mode. Also, melee weapons will no longer deal more than 120 damage per melee hit. Melee? Yeah. So they no longer do that. So you have to actually 4-hit someone that is full HP in Iron Trial. So you can't run these wacky controller headshots. And you know what I'm talking about, controller players. When you press your button and you leap forward and you smack someone in the head. And when I'm using my mouse and keyboard and I'm pressing my button and I'm just, oh, I missed. He's 10 meters away. I couldn't hit him. And the control player's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Don't lie. Okay, what happened to my boys? Bullfrog. ADS speed decreased by 9%. Is okay because you can substitute for that. The ADS speed is not that much of a problem. You could put one attachment off, the bruiser grip, for example, to put then ADS time attachment on and swap like the stock to the last stock to get the sprint to fire speed. So I don't see that being as a problem. We're going to definitely show you a new Bullfrog loadout that I'm most likely going to go for, even though I really don't feel like the ADS speed decrease is a problem. Movement speed decreased by 1%. 1% is nothing, especially since we're playing the full movement speed version, so that's fine. And then ADS movement speed decreased by 2%. Significant, but still we can counter that with a certain build. It used to be the jack of all trades. It's a fantastic gun. The Bullfrog is a true jack of all trades. It has great mobility, effective damage range, handling, and base magazine capacity, which would often act as a free attachment. These changes in conjunction with the recoil bug fix will bring the Bullfrog much closer to the competition. We'll check that, how the Bullfrog now feels. Shotgun, bravo. That's the Gallo. Maximum damage range decreased from 4.5 to 3.5 meters. First fall off. Second damage range decreased from 8.1 to 5.5. Significant. And then third damage range decreased from 13.2 to 9.9. That's really terrible. The gun is getting butchered, but Jack 12 is there. The only problem with the Jack 12 is obviously the movement speed. But yeah, the Bravo, the Shotgun Bravo, the Gallo kind of went away. Followed up by general recoil boosts again. So the Crick 6 per attachment gets 1% better recoil. So if you're using the mil-spec barrel, you have better recoil again. Not that the Crick 6 has anyways no recoil already, but it gets better recoil now. Okay. And the AK-47 Cohort gets worse recoil, even though it's... I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like they're like this page here is completely unnecessary. I'm sorry, this page is completely unnecessary. The first was good. That one is like, what are you doing, Raven Software? Makes no sense. Sorry. They decrease the recoil of the Crick further, especially that the Crick doesn't have any aim punch when you're being shot at. You know, I was playing the Bruin, no recoil Bruin, super fun. But when you get shot at, like red screen, when you shoot the Crick, it's like, and you get shot at, and you're like, doesn't move a millimeter. And you know how the XM4 has significant recoil with the first shots, and generally if you use a higher magnification scope. and they for some reason give it even more recoil, even though the gun is not even close to being a long-range beamer than the Crick is. I don't understand these two changes at all. AK and XM4. Neither of these guns is in any way a problem in comparison to what we have. That's a big fail for me. Now, let's go and look at the Bullfrog, how we would build it, and how it still feels now with the changes. Usual Bullfrog that we used to play: Task Force, GRU Suppressor, followed up by Spasmus PKM stock, Tiger Team Spotlight, and Bruiser Grip. That's our usual one. Now we lost a little bit of movement speed, and we lost also aim walk movement speed, which we do increase tremendously already with our Spasmus PKM stock. We didn't lose sprint to fire. That's a good thing. Our ADS time gets slightly nerfed. Now we have a couple of things we could think about to work against that ADS time nerf. There is a world where we swap the GRU suppressor, for example, for the sound suppressor, which is giving us aim down sight speed and a slight minus in effective damage range, but the Bullfrog has an insane effective damage range, so I don't feel like that would hurt it all too much. Like the Task Force and the sound suppressor would pretty much go minus, and then you still have a 15 meters effective damage range. 50 meter is quite nice. So could be a change that we're going for, but we're also going to test it in game in a second to see which of these attachments really feels the best. We could swap the Spasmus PKM stock technically for one of the wraps, or the Bruiser Grip for one of the wraps, but that feels kind of stupid because we get a movement speed minus, so I kind of don't want to leave go of one of these attachments. Right now, the best thing I can think about is really going for the sound suppressor and leave that as about it. And that's already the change that could bring it down to a point where I do like to have it. Because we do have the aim walk movement speed, the ADS firing movement, we have the firing movement speed, we have the aim walk ADS firing. So we do have with this everything we kind of need. And I think the sound suppressor might just be the change to bring it there. If we're looking at true game data here, 13 meters effective damage range. So if we're going to put on the Task Force, we get 15 meters range. We get 15% range plus, bringing it up to 15 meters. We now put on the sound suppressor, we get the range minus again, so we end up at 13 meters regardless. But we get a minus of 4 milliseconds ADS time. If we put on the GRU suppressor, we get plus 17. So like this, we would hover around with the GRU suppressor and the Task Force around 16.4 meters, or we would go down to the standard 13 meters. And I think that's quite okay. I'm not really fuzzed about it. You could technically also put on an ambush side point for a bonus of 8% range, but the movement speed of 3% from the Tiger Team Spotlight is too good, and then 3% also from the Bruiser Grip is just fantastic. I mean, again, if you do like the range a lot, if you think the range is fantastic, we can go for this and take the ADS time minus into consideration, just don't care. We could also just then play one of the wraps. You obviously have to see, do you want to lower your sprint to fire speed? Technically not. So the best you could do would kind of be like a speed tape or drop shot wrap, because you don't want to ruin anything of that. So you get the ADMS that you pretty much have there. But I think right now we're really the best off with the sound suppressor into the Spasmus PKM stock, which just feels fantastic together then. But let's see how the ADS time minus kicks in with the normal build, if we're still feeling it, if we do actually need the sound suppressor. This is the standard Bullfrog now with the GRU suppressor. Movement speed wise, nothing feels really worse. ADS time movement speed, maybe a little bit lower, but ADS time in general, what are the 9%? I'm just thinking about like changing something, but right now, recoil is still no recoil. I mean, they definitely have a bit more recoil now. I mean, the gun used to be absolutely no recoil. Now, when you're actually shooting the Bullfrog, you do have some pull to the left, significant pull to the left, actually. I mean, you still don't have left and right wibble wobble, but you do have more recoil to get used to. But now, like, the ADS time, 9%, I don't feel that. Even not in the sprint to fire speed, so that is all fine. I really don't see a reason to change it down to the suppressor. Don't see a reason to sacrifice more 4 meters of range for any bonus. It feels good as it is. It definitely has more recoil now that it pulls to the top left significantly, which is there, but you can absolutely no recoil beam it regardless. So I guess it would have been smarter if I checked that before actually talking about what to change about the gun. But yeah, that's the Bullfrog, the good old new Bullfrog. Nothing kind of changed on the gun. The Bullfrog is still the same as it used to be. That is it. It's fantastic. It's still the jack of all trades, and it works absolutely fine. Nothing you really changed. Well, it's good to know. I mean, that's it. GG. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the latest weapon changes? I mean, the Gallo getting butchered, that's fair. That's fine. I mean, the Gallo was really a dominant force. I just played it yesterday, a couple of days ago, and you can like 10, 15 meter shots where you're just efficiently beaming people down with. It's too easy. Now, with the nerf Gallo, it feels better. You're safe out there. People are just going to play the Jack 12 now, because the Jack 12 is fantastic. I'm probably going to have to drop a video on the Jack 12 again to show you how good it can be. But yes, it does feel weaker than the Gallo, because the Gallo used to be this absolutely moving monster. I do not believe that the Gallo is completely broken now. You can still play it, absolutely. But you'll just notice really where the effective damage range gets absolutely dunked on. And I think it might have gotten over nerfed. I mean, maybe just 2 meters instead of like 4 meters effective damage range nerf to make it weaker, but not, you know, dead. Could have been better. But yeah, it is what it is. What do you think about what Raven Software is doing? Are they doing a little bit too much, especially with the barrels? Because that was a little bit too much. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Also, greetings to everyone that came from Jack Frags. Very appreciative for the shout out on the video, on the games we played together. Hope we can play more in the future. Wish you a fantastic good time, good day, and see you in the next video.